Hello, everyone. My name is Samantha Garcia, and welcome to another episode of Buena Vista Therapy, where we explore mental health and well-being. So let's get started. So today we're going to explore OCD. So OCD, if you think it's just about being neat, organized, or liking things a certain way, this video is for you, because the real struggle has nothing to do with cleanliness, but a lot to do with an intolerance of uncertainty. So stay with me. OCD is one of the most misunderstood mental health conditions. I've heard people say things like, I'm so OCD, I like my kitchen clean, or everyone has a little bit of OCD. That's not entirely true. People with OCD do experience intense, intrusive, and distressing thoughts that can be quite obsessive. And that leads to repetitive behaviors, the compulsion, that can severely impair daily functioning. So let's understand more about uncertainty. At the core of OCD is this overwhelming question of what if? What if I hurt someone? What if I made a mistake? What if something bad happens and it's my fault? What if I didn't lock the door properly? What if this thought means something about me? You see, people with OCD struggle with not knowing for sure if something bad will happen. The fear of the unknown can produce discomfort and major avoidance. You see, everyone has intrusive thoughts. Most people ignore them and move on. However, though, people with OCD will analyze and try to find meaning behind every intrusive thought. So if you're OCD and have intrusive thoughts, let me ask you this. What would happen if you ignored it? Perhaps your own imagination may show you something terrible might happen. You see, there is a difference between what you imagine and think versus the external world. So if there's no real danger in what you see, and I'm referring to the real world, then there's nothing to fear. This is how you assess risk in what you imagine versus what you see. So let's talk about reassurance, why it doesn't always work. Here's something really important. People with OCD often know that their fear is irrational, yet they will check, they will seek reassurance, they will Google certain symptoms or use ChatGPT to find meaning behind a thought, perhaps an intrusive thought. They will play memories over and over, mentally review conversations. And for a moment, yes, there could be some relief, but the doubt comes back stronger. You must understand that OCD doesn't want truth, it wants certainty. It doesn't seek truth, it just really wants certainty. And we all know that certainty doesn't really exist. One of the hardest things about OCD is that one thing that feels comforting: reassurance. Reassurance is what keeps it alive. Every time you ask someone to tell you you're okay, or you Google something to calm the fear, or you replay the thought trying to feel sure, your brain learns that the thought was dangerous and needed fixing. You might feel relief for a moment, but OCD takes that as proof that it should come back louder and stronger next time. You see, real healing doesn't come from getting certainty or feeling calm. It comes from learning that you can be okay with uncertainty. Let the anxiety fall on its own and still live your life. Yes, and I know that can be incredibly hard, but it's also how OCD finally loosens its grip. So let's explore the OCD loop. What is this loop? The loop can look like this. Intrusive thoughts or doubt appears, anxiety spikes, compulsive or mental checking, temporary relief, doubt returning stronger, and over time the brain learns, if I don't check, something bad might happen. So the cycle tightens. Your nervous system is saying, I don't feel safe unless I'm 100% sure. So my question to you is, what would happen if you don't check. I've had clients say, something bad will happen if I don't check. There's always that poor risk assessment from what they imagine versus the reality of the real world. So it's always good to always check what your thought is versus the real world. So people with OCD often fear being a bad person, causing harm, being blamed, missing something important, being morally wrong. This is why OCD often targets the things you care about most. Your values become the battlefield. Why compulsions feel necessary. So this is good to explore. The compulsions are attempts to regulate anxiety. So the checking, the repeating, avoiding, and the mental reviewing. These are self-soothing behaviors that just happen to sometimes backfire long-term. Yes, they may bring some short-term relief, but long-term, you may find yourself checking more. So you may have heard advice like, just sit with uncertainty. But if your nervous system is already in survival mode, that feels like asking someone to walk into danger with no protection. So what actually helps? What can help with people with OCD? So healing OCD isn't about eliminating thoughts. It's actually about building tolerance for uncertainty and teaching the nervous system that discomfort isn't danger, understanding that some thoughts need to be parked or ignored, and learning new processes and changing how you do certain things. This happens gradually with a therapist. OCD has a lot to do what might happen. The problem is with the response to uncertainty. So if you have OCD, I want to say this. You're not weak, you're not dramatic, and you're not broken. Your brain learned that certainty equals safety. And it's been trying to protect you just in a way that no longer serves you. Just ask yourself, what would happen if you ignored that thought? What would happen if you ignored that feeling or that fear? What would happen if you stopped checking? Notice what comes to your mind. Notice how you feel. OCD doesn't mean you need more control. It means your nervous system needs more safety. And safety is something that can be learned differently. You don't need to fight your mind, and you don't need to prove your thoughts wrong. You don't need to be certain to be okay. If this resonated, let me know in the comments. If you liked this video, subscribe to get all the latest upcoming videos. And lastly, if you're living with OCD, please hear this. You are not weak, you are not failing, and you're definitely not alone. I know that this is hard work, and the fact that you keep showing up even when your mind is loud says a lot about your strength. Healing isn't about getting rid of your thoughts. It's about learning that you can live your life even when they're there. Thank you so much for joining me. I wish you a beautiful day. Please take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.